So to get to the SOAR rosters, go to your Wake ID portal screen. And this is my screen. Everyone's screen may be slightly different depending on what they have access to. But what you're going to want to do is find the icon for Oasis. The SOAR rosters are in another application within Oasis. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Oasis. And I'm showing 3 different applications here. And you may not have all of these on yours, but to get to SOAR, you need to go into DEERS. Okay, so go ahead then and click on DEERS. And DEERS stands for Data Extract and Reporting System. And you'll see here on the left, there are teacher reports, school reports, and district reports. I'm going to focus today on school reports. Teachers can pull up their own classroom and look at their student rosters. I'm going to do the school. And this is tied directly into PowerSchool, and it's updating on a daily basis as far as attendance and grades, that type of thing. For data from previous years, like EOGs, EOCs, that would obviously only be populated once or so a year, depending on the grades, the students. So let's go ahead and look at what we have in school reports. So when I click on that, you will see a number depending on your access privileges, different choices here. But you'll notice at the bottom here is student rosters. That's what we're going to focus on. So I'm going to go ahead and click on student rosters. Okay. It's asking me to select a school because I have access to all schools. You would only be able to see your own school. So I'm going to go ahead and choose a school. And as you can see, there are a variety of rosters in here. So depending on what data you're interested in, you may want to choose a different roster. What I'm going to focus on today is one I think you'll probably be using the most throughout the year. If you scroll down, when you get to SOAR, you'll see there's a SOAR current 6th grade student, SOAR current 9th grade. If you're an administrator at a middle school, these you may want to look at these, or a high school. But for probably most teachers and administrators, you're going to be interested in all of your students. And to get those, you would go down to these SOAR current students with previous year's data, and that would list all your students that are currently enrolled for this year with data from last year. Okay, then you have a Student Overview Ad-hoc Report. This is the one that I'm going to open, and this shows all of your current students, and some of the data, since it's the beginning of the year, is not populated yet. The students haven't been attending, they haven't been taking tests. So as the school year progresses, these data will be populated and you'll be able to see that. The last one is Student Ad hoc Report from previous year. But let's go ahead and take a look at this one here, the Student Overview Ad hoc Report. And I'm going to go ahead and click on this floppy disk, which probably doesn't exist in the world anymore. And what you'll see is a screen showing the grades and the tracks. In this school, there happened to be a year-round school. And then you'll see 7 different categories of data. Okay, at the top, you'll see the grades in the school. In this case, 6, 7, and 8. The tracks 1 to 4. And then you'll see demographics, membership attendance, academics, testing, assessments, survey, LEP. So you can build your own report. That's the function of this. There are, I think, over 1,000 data points that are available here. So you obviously probably don't want all of that information. You may just want some basic stuff. But you can go ahead and open each one of these categories and build a report. And the report, at the bottom there, you see you can select Get Report. It will export it to an Excel spreadsheet where you can read it. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Demographics here. And I'm just going to choose a few basic things. Student ID, last name, first name, gender, grade level. Okay? And if you take a look, if you have an interest in your students, racial background, whether they're LEP or special ed, AG, you can turn those on. You can also take a look at their previous schools and that virtual academy, whether they were in the virtual academy before, although that's not available anymore. So that's basic demographics. Under the membership attendance, when you turn that one on and look at it, you'll see days in membership from the previous year, total absences the previous year, and then it starts looking at current year. Okay, so right now all of them are turned on. Okay, if I go back to the top one, the heading for that category, let me get out of here and turn that off, and just click on this arrow. I'll just turn on for now this total absences from previous year. So that's the only variable or data point that I'm choosing from this category. As the year goes on, you would probably be interested in looking at their absences in the current quarter or the current year, which is cumulative. Okay, let's take a look at the category for academics. So let me click on this down arrow, and you will see there are quite a few categories listed under here as well. There's course recommendations, and this is more for rising ninth graders. Their grade totals. Okay, these would be the grades that teachers would be putting into PowerSchool. So right now there wouldn't be anything in there at the beginning of the year. But you can also do teacher name in math and reading, and you can track their grades here as well. And you can see different subjects by quarter. So you can really look at this by quarter, as the year goes on, by semester. And again, if you're interested in last year's data, there is a roster with your current students with their previous year's data. Okay, I'm not going to choose anything from that category since most of it's not been entered. Under testing, we have their whole testing history you can get on your current students, from grade 3 all the way to whatever grade they're in right now, as well as their EVOS predicted scores, EOCs, maybe for some of your 8th graders. Then we also have NC Extend exams, and we have check-ins. So for now, since I'm looking at a middle school, say I'm interested in the relative reading level of my current students. So my 6th graders, I would look at their EOG grade 5 reading, relative reading level. And then for my 7th graders, I'd look at 6th grade. And then for my 8th graders, I would look at grade 7. Okay, so those are the 3 data points I'm going to choose from that category. And then I scroll down further. Assessments. These are not, end of grade standard assessment. Here it says iReady. We are transitioning to FastBridge, and those data will be available soon. So if you want to track your students' performance on those assessments, you would come here. There's also PSAT and STAR Math. I'm not going to choose any of these data points for this report. Survey. At the end of each year, we do a student survey, and you can actually, they're linked with student IDs, so you can see how the students in your class or your grade or your school, how they answered, these 6 survey questions. And I'm not going to choose any of those for this report right now. And then the last category is LEP, and this is where you can access their scores on the access tests. There's a listening, speaking, reading, and writing components, and then you can do the overall composite. So if you're interested in your LEP students, how they've done on the test, you would choose those. So I'm not going to choose any of those. Let me just close some of these out. And then I'm going to get the report and show you. Whatever variables or data points you choose here will be the ones that are exported to Excel. I'm just closing these out just to make the screen look a little cleaner. Okay, so now you can see that the on button is on for 3 categories. I've selected several variables from demographics, 1 variable from membership, and then 3 variables from testing. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this Get Report. You also notice I didn't check the grades 6, 7, 8 or the tracks. When you don't check any of them, you get all of the data. If you're only interested in 1 grade, go ahead and just check that box, or 1 track, check that box. But if you don't check any, you'll get data for all of your students. So I'll go ahead and click on that Get Report. And it's very quick because I'm only choosing a more limited, and this is another reason, rather than to get a report for all 1,000 variables, to go ahead and choose deliberately which ones you think are most useful to you at the time, because you can always go back and make new reports. So let's open this report and take a look at it. And it opens in Excel. Okay, and you can see these are the variables I chose. Okay, I chose student ID, student last name, student first name, sex of the student, the grade level of the student, the reading relative achievement level for the students from, depending on their grade, their previous year. And you can see this in decimal form. And then I also chose, actually before those relative reading percentages, the total number of absences from last year, and you can see that as well. So here fairly quickly I can get some quick information on all of my students, and you can sort this any way you want, alphabetically, by grade, whatever. And then save that, and if you want to go back after you look at it and say I forgot a variable, you just close this one out, go back to the SOAR roster again and redo it. So very efficient, very comprehensive, and hopefully very useful to you. Thank you for your attention, and good luck with producing your own reports. See you next time.